What is up, YouTube? C here, and so today was the last UFC EPSN card. Today was UFC 323, and this is the end of the era. You know, next year we'll be having the first UFC card, which is UFC 324. That'll be on Paramount, and so, like I said, end of an era. Now today I'll be talking about the fights that happened today, and I'll be matchmaking the winners. Because if I was to matchmake the losers, well, this video would probably go on way longer than I would personally like, and also what y'all would like. But also I feel like it's, the winners. I mean, that's all the time I have right now. Sadly, I wish I could do losers, but anyways, let's not get off track. So for the first fight of this card, we had Marion Santos versus Muhammad Naimov. Now Marion, he wins by third round KO. He did struggle a bit with the grappling, but despite that, he was winning the fight, and he finished Naimov. So I mean, hey, very good. Now, who do I think he should fight? I think he should fight Patricio Pitbull, Josh Emmett, or Dan Ige. And me personally, I'm leaning towards Dan Ige or Josh Emmett, because Patricio was booked to fight that French dude Lozne Kieta, but Lozne's fat ass missed weight. And Josh Emmett, he's coming off to Yusuf Salah and Dan Ige. I believe he lost to Patricio Pitbull back in July on the Poirier card, so I feel like that should be, who Marion fights. Dan Ige or Josh Emmett. Those are the two names. Now for this next fight, we got Mansur Abdulmalik and Antonio Tricoli. Now Mansur, he wins by a first round standing guillotine, which, I mean, was very impressive. I wish I could have seen this live, but Disney Plus was fucking with me, so yeah, I'm very pissed that I missed out on it. But I mean, shit, it's pretty sick ass guillotine, bro. But anyways, Antonio Tricoli, he's known for dating Mackenzie Turn and not being able to bag that, so that's been started taking 2 L's within the past year. But let's get back to in-cage conflicts. So Mansur, beats him, like I said, first round standing guillotine. Now, who should he fight? I'd say he should fight Mikhail Olenjacek or Kelvin Gastelum, and I'm leaning towards Kelvin, because let's give this a little thought. Got Kelvin Gastelum on a 1-fight win streak, Michelle Olenjacek on a 2-fight win streak. I feel like Kelvin would be a good test for him. Now think about it, because Mikhail, he's kind of his own thing. I mean, what would he gain from him? The UFC, they could put him against Kelvin, and that'd be a name. That'd be a name that could build him up. They could probably maybe put this on a main card of a fight night, or who knows, maybe they could put this on a prelim pay-per-view. But that's yeah, I think that's who I think Mansur should fight. He should fight Kelvin Gastelum. For the third fight of this card, we got Iwo, not gonna pronounce his last name, versus Ivo Aslan. I'm gonna try my best to enunciate their names so y'all don't get confused. Now Iwo, he knocks out Ivo with a right hook, and then continues beating him up with some ground and pound before the ref pulls him away. And this fight was basically Pat Barry versus Czech Congo 2. Now, who do I think Iwo should fight? I think he should fight Marcin Prachnio. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, and if I was the upper brass at the UFC, I'd be like, okay, let's get this dude someone who he could beat, and let's build this guy. He's from Poland. We got a lot of history with Polish fighters. They also had Jan on this card, which I'll get to later. So I mean, let's build this guy up. So that's who I think should fight, Marcin Prachnio. Now for this next fight, we got Jalen Turner versus Edson Barbosa. Now Jalen, he came out of very short-lived retirement. Floyd Mayweather-ass retirement, and he drops Barbosa about 2 or 3 times, and then Herb Dean decides, alright, we should probably stop this, and so he stops the fight, and Jalen gets his win. He finishes Barbosa in the first round. Now, who do I think should fight? I think he should fight Ludovic Klein or Rafa Garcia. Those are 2 guys who I think should fight, and there's nothing really much else to add. If he beats one of those guys, if he gets matched up with one of those guys and he beats him, give him a ranked win, give him a ranked opponent. Let's see how he does. For this next fight, we got Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. Now, Bruno Ferreira, he did miss weight, so I believe he had a 2-3 pound advantage from what I can remember. But Bruno, this guy's striking is pretty good. He was throwing them 1-2s at Marvin's head, and well, Marvin wasn't going out, but I mean, he was definitely beating the shit out of Marvin, and he slipped, and he did slip earlier from a head kick that he tried to throw, and Bruno, he got a takedown late in the first. Round 2, Bruno basically controls it with the striking, and in round 3, Bruno takes down Marvin, just barely fails, but fight gets back on the feet, and Bruno, he starts to struggle. He's getting a little gassed out, but in the end he does win it by UT, so definitely saved by the bell moment. Now, who do I think should fight? Now, he did fight Marvin Vettori, so he should be ranked, hopefully. At least that's what I think he should be. He should be ranked, and I think he should fight either Paulo Costa or Abus Magomedov. The reason why I think Abus is just who knows, maybe they could see as like a skill check for Bruno. You know, put him against Abus and they can see what Abus can do. And if Bruno wins that, then they can let him go on into the rankings. And Paulo, it'd be guaranteed violence, Brazilian on Brazilian violence. These two would just beat the absolute crap out of each other. And I mean, Paulo, he's on a 1-fight which I believe he beat Roman Kopylov, I believe. That's who he beat last. So yeah, either one of those guys. Now, for the 5th fight on this card, we had Fares Ziam versus Nazim Sadikov. Now, for round 1, they both strike for a bit, then clinch up, and then Ziam, he gets a takedown, takes Nazim's back, and tries to submit him with a face crank, but it doesn't work. Round 2, fight stays pretty inactive. There's not a whole lot going on. But then, Ziam, he gets a takedown on Sadikov in the last minute of the round, and Fares, he gets a buzzer-beating finish with a brutal. So basically, Nazim was getting up, and then he elbowed the shit out of Fares near his ear, close to his back of his head, and then he followed it up with ground and pound, and then Jason Herzog stopped the fight. So it was last minute finish, like I said. Now, it wasn't early stoppage. Hell no, it for sure wasn't early stoppage, because Nazim got up, and that dude was wobbly. That man was on some wobbly legs. And so, we'll see an early stoppage later on to the card. You know, spoilers if you didn't watch this card. But who do I think Fares Ziam should fight? I think he should fight. See, Fares, he literally should be fighting in the rankings. He should have been fighting in the rankings, but I feel like I'd say this fight was basically the winner gets to fight in the rankings, or maybe they'll get moved into the rankings because Grant Dawson fought on this card and he was ranked number 13 and he lost. And well, spoilers, he lost his fight. So who knows? Maybe he'll take a spot. Fares will take a spot, but if that doesn't happen, I think Fares should fight either Ignacio Bajo Mendez or Grant Dawson, because both Ignacio, he lost to Rafael Fiziev, I believe. Yeah, he lost against him in UFC Baku, and then Grant Dawson, he lost on this card, to which we'll be talking about in a bit. And so, yeah, those two people I'd say he should fight. Now for this next fight, we had Macy Barber versus Karine Silva. Now, this fight was basically your average WMMA fight. Round 1, Barber, it ends with Barber on the back of Karine. Round 2, after a grappling exchange, Barber gets put into a guillotine but gets out of it. Then in a grappling exchange, Karine kicks Barber while she's grounded. This is like I'm trying to remember that dude, light heavyweight's name, from Scotland. Fuck, that Braveheart dude, Paul Craig. It was basically like that Paul Craig moment. And so she continues the fight. She's like, you know, referee, Mark Smith, he's like, hey, it would just glance your face. And then there was a playback, and it was, well, very clearly not a glancing shot. It was, I mean, was there a lot of force? It didn't look like it, but who knows? But there's a lot of times when it doesn't look like it's a lot of force, but it does actually hurt. But anyways, the fight continues. In round 3, Karine gets a double on Barber, puts it to the ground. They both get stuck into a leg lock position. Barber, she gets back on top. Karine then gets Barber into a weird modified triangle. Joe said he could submit someone for a minute, which, hey, he's the jiu-jitsu. Alright, anyways, so, you know, he's the expert, so I'm not going to argue with that. But fight, it just ends up with on the feet. Barber gets a last minute takedown. Macy won by UD. This is just your average WMMA fight. Now, Barber, she either fights Manon Fiorot, because she hasn't fought her yet, and WMMA is just a very shallow division. It's just overall, or she gets a fast track title shot, which I could definitely see happening, but who knows? Fans will probably not like it. For this next fight, we got Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan, he finishes him in the first round with what was either a Darce or Anaconda choke. Now, who should he fight? He should either fight Esteban Rivovic or Hinata Mukano. Now, why did I bring up Esteban Rivovic? Well, Esteban, he's on a 1-fight winning streak. He beat Elvis Brenner by decision, I believe. And so, but in his last fight before that, he fought Nasrat Haqparast, and it was a split decision loss, and some would say he won it. So, if these two were to fight, and whoever wins, they get a shot to the rankings. Now, he has finished 3 of his last 4 wins, all by a sub. So arguably he could fight Renato Moicano, because Renato, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Beneil Dariush and some guy named Islam Makhachev. So, I feel like that'd be the right choice. That'd be right choice. Either Renato Moicano or Esteban Ribovic. Now for the next fight, we had Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Torres, he knocks out Grant Dawson in the first round with a very, very phenomenal right hook, left hook combination. And so that's another first round finish, 2 in a row for Manuel Torres. Now, I think he should get a shot into the rankings, because this guy's on a 2-fight win streak, and he beat Grant Dawson, who, before he lost to Manuel Torres, he was on a 3-fight winning streak. So, and he was in the rankings. So, with that, he should either fight Michael Chandler or Mateus Gamrot. Now, Gamrot, he's on a 1-fight losing streak. He just recently lost to Charles Oliveira. But I'd say more realistically, Manuel Torres should fight Michael Chandler, because Michael Chandler is on a 2-fight losing streak, and I'd say this would be a lot better, because Michael Chandler, he's a known name. All of us know Michael Chandler. Conor McGregor, I want you! And so, everybody knows Michael Chandler. And Manuel Torres, he's Mexican. So, Dana, this is the fight took place December 6th. So what they could do is, there's a UFC event in February. So if they really want to, they could fast track this, and they could maybe make this a main event. Now, would this happen? Probably not, because this is a very short turnaround for Manuel Torres. I mean, this dude would have to go back into camp like a week or 2 after this fight, and it wouldn't be good. So they could put this on another pay-per-view. Maybe they could put this on the Holloway versus Oliveira card. And so, I'd say he should fight Michael Chandler. That would be the best option. He fights Michael Chandler, and that's who I think Manuel Torres should fight. Now, for the first fight of the main card, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov, aka Agent 47. This man came in Agent 47 kit at the press conference, which honestly was really fucking cool, man. It shows it's literally nerd on nerd action. But let's get back to the fight. Now, round 1, it was pretty boring. And if you wanted to make a case who won, you could definitely say Jan won with damaging those leg kicks, man. Those leg kicks. Steel Muay Thai cups. I'm sorry, guys, too much joke. But back to the point, you could argue Jan won. You could also argue Bogdan won. It depends on what you consider to be winning criteria. Because of that, I'd say Jan won. But round 2, Bogdan gets a knockdown within the first minute of the round, and Jan tries to defend it by putting Bogdan into a heel hook, but fails, and they go back to the full guard, and Bogdan just throws some ground and pound, and eventually gets an half guard and throws more ground and pound. So definitely argue a 10-8. It was actually scored on, I believe, all the judges scored cards at 10-8. Now for round 3, the striking exchanges were pretty tentative, pretty boring like the first round, until Jan catches Guskov, and in the last minute, Jan drops Bogdan, and the fight ends in a draw. It was a majority draw. 2 judges saw it as a draw. So what do I think should happen? If I was the UFC, I would either rematch this at UFC 326, because even though they could rematch at UFC, actually wait, I believe the Oliveira or Holloway card, let's see, it's December 6th. It depends, because these guys are light heavyweights, so they need to rest. And that fight was pretty grueling. They both got knocked down, so March may be a little too soon. So what they could do is they could make this headline its own fight night, which I guess wouldn't be the best case, because this was on a pay-per-view. And I mean, imagine if Jan was to retire, if you hypothetically lost, but that's just besides the point. So this got the main event, or this could be on a pay-per-view, the Oliveira versus Holloway card. It could be on that, or the main event the card. That's what I think should happen. Now this next fight, Talbot versus Cejudo, I actually wrote a lot for this fight, because I was trying to keep track of it, but This fight, it was cinema, man. Talbot, this dude Talbot hits very hard. If I'm gonna glaze. Some might consider this glaze, but I don't care. This dude Talbot, I think he is for real. Because this dude took down Henry Cejudo twice, at least 2 times. And this dude Talbot, bro, this man hits. I don't know how hard he hits, but man, he hits with something. And so shit. I mean, Talbot did eye poke Henry early, and like I said, like I mentioned earlier, he does take down Henry. He takes him down, I believe, twice in the first round, when I can remember. And then round 2, Talbot wobbles Henry. I believe he drops him. But Henry gets back to his feet, and then they go into a little grappling exchange, and then Cejudo gets on top. And then Talbot just goes on an absolute brutal sequence, man. And they go back and forth with each other, and Cejudo's face, it's absolutely brutalized. His face is just very ugly, man. And then round 3, some striking happens. Talbot takes Cejudo down again and brings him to the fence. Talbot does go for another takedown, but Henry gets a takedown on Payton instead. And it goes back to the feet, and Payton goes back to feeding Henry. And then they meet in the middle, do a little Holloway. They do actually beat the crap out of each other for those last 10 seconds or so. And Payton, he won via UD. And Cejudo, Triple C, he retires, guys. No more cringe. No more triple cringe, man. And, say it's his career for Henry, I'm proud of him, This dude, double champ, not much other people could have done, so let's put some respect on the cringe lord's name. Now, let's get back to Payton. Payton, who do I think he should fight? I think he should fight Corey Sandhagen or Bryce Mitchell. Now, why should he fight someone like Bryce Mitchell? Why shouldn't he fight ahead? This dude was on a 1-fight win streak against Felipe Lima, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, Felipe Lima, he is a good fighter, a very good fighter, but a 1-fight win streak, Payton should definitely defend his ranking. And why did I suggest against Bryce Mitchell? Because Bryce Mitchell, he's a known name. People are gonna know his name. You could put this on the White House card if they want to say Payton to stack up that White House card. Bryce, he's very redneck, as we all know, and well, I feel like that would be good. But if they don't want to do that, if you want to fast track him to a title shot, I'd say give him Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, he's on a 1-fight losing streak. He just recently lost to Marab, and before that he defeated Figgy in a kind of weird finish that was more of an injury. But I'd say Payton, he should fight Corey Sandhagen. If I was the UFC, I'd be like, and I want to fast track this guy, it's like, alright, let's get this guy to Corey Sandhagen. If they want to see what else he's made of, give him to Bryce Mitchell. Or they could just give him to the winner or loser of Song versus Sean, but I don't know, man. I feel like that's just way too early and unrealistic. And for the next fight, we got Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. And let's just talk about the fight first before we get into what happened at the end. Round 1, Taira goes for a takedown, and Moreno gets Taira into a triangle. Now, this isn't your standard triangle. His right leg was over his head and shoulder, and his left leg was kind of not in. So basically, Henry was in front of him. He wasn't off at an angle where he could potentially get an armbar from it. So he was basically just trying to get a triangle chug, but unfortunately Taira had enough space, and honestly it was basically that for the whole first round, which is kind of gay, but I don't know, maybe Payton was enjoying watching it, or Jeff Molina. But anyways, he holds it for the whole round, and then the round ends. And in round 2, some striking happens, and Moreno does land a hard right hand. He lands a very hard right hand, but Taira gets a takedown on Moreno and takes it back, and then he throws some ground and pound. And then the referee, Mark Smith, stops the fight in the second round. Now, this fight was definitely stopped early, man. I'm going to be super honest. But if he had just let it happen a lot more, I feel like fans wouldn't be more critical. But this was just a way too early stoppage. And honestly, I'm pretty upset. Because Moreno, he was on a run. He had beaten Steve Erceg, Amir Albazi. He was on a run. Okay, maybe Steve Erceg is not a good win. I mean, that dude... Okay, he did win his most recent fight, but I mean, if you want to even call that a win. But back to the point, I mean, Moreno could have definitely gotten the title shot. Then with what happened in the main event, he probably would have gotten the title shot. But, you know, Tyra, he's definitely going to be the title challenger for the main event, after which I'll be talking about in the next sequence. But Tyra, he should fight for the belt. There's nothing else he should do. He should fight for the belt. He deserves it. He beat Moreno. I'm doing quotation marks with my fingers, but he did beat Moreno. It is a TKO, and so he should fight for the belt. Now for the co-main event, we had Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. You know, Joshua Van, he walks out of Chief Keef, gets in the octagon looking awesome and shit. And then Pantoja, he walks out of Many Man by 50 Cent, gets in the octagon. They both look cool as hell, man. And, you know, this fight's getting ready to happen. And then a short striking exchange happens. Pantoja throws a kick, falls down, and he plants his arm down, and then he breaks his arm. Now there was actually a post-fight. They always do this post-fight thing with the commentary where they talk for a little bit on main cards. And Megan O'Leary actually jumped in and told them that apparently Pantoja fractured. Something would happen in his shoulder. If you saw the footage, it was definitely his elbow, but apparently it was his shoulder. So here's what I think happened. His shoulder and elbow are both absolutely screwed. Now, why is this a bad thing? This is how Pantoja's title reign ends. Let alone the elbow break. I mean, an elbow break on its own is pretty bad. But Pantoja is 35, man. He is 35 years old, and he broke his elbow from what we see in the video. But also, apparently, he messed up his shoulder. Now, this dude is never going to be able to fight again. This dude's career basically got the Dominic Cruz treatment. You know, because Dominic Cruz, he literally couldn't fight anymore. His body just gave up. And Alexandre, he's old as hell. He's 35. Like I said, he's 35, and he literally can't fight. This is going to take bare minimum 6 months to hopefully get in shape, hopefully get back, you know, in fight shape. But is he even going to be the same? He's going to be 36, I believe, close to 36, or he's going to already be 36 by the time he's even going to be in talks to fight. And I mean, shit, man, this dude was being talked about as the second best. He was going to surpass Demetrius Johnson. Now, would that be possible? Who knows? It was looking a little competitive early, but... And I feel bad for Joshua Van, dude, because this dude's first defense is Tatsuo Taira. Taira is close. I believe Taira is 25, so he's very much the similar age to Van. And Taira's a very heavy grappler, dude, and man, he's young too, so I can only imagine how this fight is gonna go. And Van will automatically be the worst flyweight champion we've had, and I feel so bad for this dude because he literally basically got gifted that belt. Like, this is basically Aljo versus Petr Yan, except Petr Yan did it to himself. And we'll get on to Petr Yan later, but Petr Yan basically did that to himself. But right here, I mean, it was Pantoja's fault. He broke his fall with his arm, but Pantoja, it was a heat of the moment thing, man. And just, man, there's just a lot in this fight, and it's just bad on both ends. But I hope to matchmake, I think Van should defend his title against Taira. I mean, they could make this fight happen as soon as April. As soon as April, maybe May. Make it a main event or a co-main. I think that's what happened. I think that's what should happen. Now for the main event, the last title fight of the UFC ESPN era. We had Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan, and this fight was just... Now, I thought Cejudo versus Talbot was going to get fight of the night, but this fight, from what I saw on Instagram, got fight of the night, unless Cejudo versus Talbot also got it, which I unfortunately didn't see. I'll check after I'm done recording, but this fight was... It started off normal. You know, they were both striking. Yan, I'm trying to remember this, but man, there was a lot that happened in this fight. It really is a struggle to just piece together what happened, because by the third round, Merab's face was just pretty cut up, and it just got worse and worse. And man, these two were beating the shit out of each other. Yan was just kicking the shit. He kicked Merab's body, I believe, in the third or fourth round, and man, it was so loud. and you could hear Merab scream too. And my goodness, this is a good fight. This is a very good fight. This just, I mean, what else can I say? It was the best fight to end on for this era of UFC, man. And you know, I don't think there could have been a better fight that could have happened. Now, on paper, here's what most of us thought on paper. Merab's gonna take down Jan. He's gonna control him. Jan maybe will get some strikes in. That's at least what I'd say most fans thought. But Jan, well, downloading data Jan basically came true, and he downloaded data. He beat up Merab, and one of the judges' scorecards said 48-47, and the other two said 49-46. So if you want to try and figure out the disparity, I guess they're trying to maybe still keep Merab the belt, but Dana was like, "Hey man, nah, we ain't doing that. Here's $50." Nah, I'm just playing. They weren't fixing that shit. Jan did genuinely beat the shit out of Merab. Now, if you do look at the numbers, some of y'all might think, wait, wouldn't have Merab won or something like that? But no, Merab didn't win that. His face and body enough showed us, yeah, this dude really got his ass beat. And so, Jan, he should fight the winner of Figgy and Umar. Now, why not Merab? Knowing the UFC, they're not gonna give it to Merab. If they do, then you know what? I'm happy for Merab, but I'd be surprised if they did give the belt, let Merab fight in a rematch against Jan. Because I mean, would it be? I mean, who knows? Maybe it'd be like Shevchenko versus Grasso 3, where Shevchenko basically just Russell humped the shit out of Grasso, and the fight was pretty fucking boring. And so, I mean, the UFC. If I was the UFC, I'd be like, yeah, let's just make them fight Figgy or Umar, because we got a rematch with an exciting fighter or an up-and-comer who is a known name, and you know, we can get some money out of this. So yeah, I'd say those are all the matchmaking that I've got, man. All the matchmaking I've got for this card. And now it's time for the outro. So, you know, those are all the fights that I've match made and discussed. I should have elaborated more on some of these. I really need to work on that, but I think I did an alright job with the matchmaking. Okay, maybe just I kind of fucked up a little bit, but anyways, that's what I think. You know, I'm recording this the next morning, this December 7th. So I mean, you know, I really got nothing much else to add. So if you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate if you like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and well, I just hope everybody's safe out there and has a good day. Peace.